Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Rubbin' is Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR show, brought to you by FantasyDonks.com, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know to start playing daily fantasy sports. I'm Sean Big Papa Williams.
I'm Jamie Learjet Lear.
And I'm Adrian Woodruff.
Welcome back, buddy, who was trackside last week for Atlanta. It's good having you back, and let's get into the picks. Yeah. And before we do, we'll have Lear give us a track breakdown for this week's Kobalt 400 from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Give it to us, Lear. What are we looking at?
All right, boys. Happy weekend to you and everybody out there. We've got the Kobalt 400 coming to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Another mile-and-a-half track here, the most popular type of track that they run here on the Sprint Cup circuit. 267 laps. It is a 400-mile race versus a 500 that we've been running the last couple weeks, so a little bit shorter as far as the duration. It is a tri-oval track, which is also one of the popular, most significant races type of tracks, that we run here at the Sprint Cup circuit. But turns range from about 12 to 20 degrees in the turns. As far as that goes, some really exciting racing here. Multiple grooves, depends on, how your car is going to be handling, especially with the new aero package here at Las Vegas, with them having it here for the first time. The key here is, since it's minimal laps, good to take the cars that are up front that are going to lead some laps, also get you some fastest laps. A little track history. It opened up 20 years ago in 1996 with the first NASCAR race in 1998. Quick fact here about the track. Jimmy Johnson is a four-time winner here, the most active winner here on the circuit out of 18 total races, with his last victory coming in 2010. With his run here and with his win last week in Atlanta, him and his team are going to be carrying a lot of momentum into this week's race. As far as the last 5 races here, the split has been 2 Chevrolets have won, 2 Fords have won, and 1 Toyota has taken it home. So the race is going to be on Sunday, March the 6th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox. Weather is going to be 65 degrees, partly cloudy, if you can believe that, in Las Vegas. Windy with a third week in a row, 0% chance of rain. Wind is going to be west-southwest at a blistering 30 miles an hour, so it's going to be pushing these guys a little bit, so that could have some effects here on the handling, all that according to weather.com.
Cool. Thanks, Lear. And, I think Jimmy's clearly the track favorite here, like with his history here. We'll probably talk about him a little bit, but much more than that, I doubt it highly. With that said, I think it's time to get into the Burning Rubber segment.
Burn rubber, baby! I'll let Jamie do it this time.
Yeah. It's probably better that way. And since you let Jamie do that ridiculousness, we'll let you start it off, Adrian. Who's your guy to burn some rubber this week?
I'm going with Mr. Happy Kevin Harvick at 10.5. Kevin Harvick is the defending race winner, like Jamie was just talking about. If you're going to be successful at Las Vegas, you're going to need those lap sled points. I think we can all agree that no one is leading laps in the Sprint Cup Series on the same level that Kevin Harvick is right now. Last year in this race, he led 142 of 267 laps. His crew chief, Rodney Childers, they just have such great communication, and they keep up with the track better than most teams. I'd say Chad Canals is right there with them in the 18 team. They're just an elite team, and it's just someone that I have no problem rostering. And I don't know if you guys are big basketball fans, but you guys remember the MJ sick game? This is what I'm going to call the Harvick sick game, because Kevin Harvick is going to go out there with the flu, and he's going to absolutely wear these boys out on Sunday, and I cannot wait to see it. And I cannot wait to see everyone that wins money because they put Harvick on their team. What do you guys think?
I definitely like some Kevin Harvick this week. Obviously, with his appearance last week at Atlanta, he scored almost 100 points, and he definitely was a guy that you had to have on your team if you wanted to take home that GPP. It's going to be one of those weeks this week where, I'll probably roster him not as much as I did last week, but I definitely, there's going to be teams that I put together that I just have to have him on there. So I definitely like him this week. I don't know if he's going to lead as many laps this week because I actually kind of do like Kurt Busch this week a little bit up at the front there. I mean, he's just running so fast, but I definitely think that Harvick will get you some points, but I'm not really positive that he's going to produce like he did last week.
Yeah, the go-to guys in NASCAR at the 1.5 mile tracks are Harvick and Johnson, and there's a reason why. Like, they just dominate these type of tracks, and they have for years. So, I mean, it's fate at your own peril, and you really need to roster them. All right, Lear, who's your? Oh, go ahead, Adrian. What were you saying?
I was just gonna say that. I mean, you're gonna need guys to have place differential, but the way I see that all my lineups end up working out this week, because the middle tier salary guys, right around your Chase Elliott's and your Kyle Larson's and your Casey Kane's, I just don't see absolutely any value at all there. And I feel like if you go to one of those guys, you're either going to have to pivot really high, and there's not – I mean, if you spend your money, I feel like the way you build your lineup this week is you have 3 studs and you have to have 3 value. I just don't see any other way that I can build my lineup. So I feel like you're going to have to – your guys that you're picking from are your Harvicks and your Johnsons and your Kyle Busch and your Logano's. You want guys that are going to lead laps. And then you just got to fill in the rest with your value. That's basically how I'm building my lineups this week. I don't know if that helps anybody at all.
Right on. Yeah, we'll get a little bit more into that here in a little bit. Like, I think it'll help flush itself out when we start going through the process of building the lineup for everybody. Lear, who's your guy to burn some rubber this week?
All right, fellas. My burning rubber guy this week is one Martin Truex Jr. in the 78 Furniture Road Car. He's coming off a nice start, as far as his 2016 DFS and his NASCAR season. As far as right now, he's averaging 68 points each race. His history here is not very strong, but it's basically one of the reasons why I really love him this week. And last year, he finished second here. He has a total of 10 starts, 0 wins, and only 4 top 10 finishes out of those 10 starts. His history here, like I said, is not impressive by any means, although his average starting position is 18th with an average finish of 14th. This week, he starts from the 10th position and has been looking fast so far this week as far as the practices and the qualification. And, with his new relationship with JGR, it's been paying off very well so far for them and that team. His cost this week is obviously very doable as well. It's only $9,100 and gives you plenty of other options as far as other drivers. I love me some Martin Truex Jr. this week from that 10th spot. I look for him to take that 78 up to the front, and he's going to lead some laps. This is one of my guarantees. He's going to lead some laps and quite a few laps at that tomorrow. So he's going to be my most highly owned guy tomorrow as far as that goes.
Yeah, to be honest, Truex is a guy I looked at. I put into some lineups, then I took him out of some lineups, then I put him back in. He's in that range that Adrian was just talking about, where I have to choose the studs, and if I choose to go for a 4th one, in his price level, I can try to 2 of the 95s. Then I'm getting sketch on my on my punt too, and it's just I don't know. I'm torn. I keep going back and forth on Truex. What do you keep doing, Adrian?
I like Truex this week. He obviously ran very well at Atlanta last week. He's on the brink. If anyone's on the brink of their, of winning at a 1.5-mile track, it's Martin Truex Jr. He just seems to be at the front every time they go to those tracks. Yeah. That a new alliance with Toyota is making that team really quick. He was the top 3 car all race last week if you watched Atlanta. He's completed every lap here at Vegas in the last 6 races, which is pretty impressive. That's someone that you can really bank on in your cash games. And I mean, everyone loves Martin Truex Jr. He's the ultimate nice guy. How can you not cheer for him?
Right. I mean, I think it's a good play, Lear. I like it.
Yeah. Well, I just think too that as far as his owner's percentages, I think they're going to be very minimal because I don't think a lot of people are going to be on him just based off his data that he has historically here at Las Vegas. I don't think a lot of people like him.
No, I think out of the 9K, the guys above 9K, I think that maybe Carl Edwards will be the only one that's less owned than him. I think he's going to be right up there, high, because Mark Truex is the guy that just people, if they're going to spend that money, they're going to go ahead and spend a little bit more to get Rowdy or Kevin Harvick. So Martin Truex Jr. is a great GPP play, and I agree. I think he could definitely lead laps, and a lot of people aren't going to have him.
Yeah, agreed. Like, that analysis is solid, boys. Which brings me to my pick. I went with Kyle Rowdy Busch again. I know he's 10,200, but you arguably can get the hottest driver in NASCAR. You can get the best, arguably one of the best two drivers on this track specifically. He's starting from the 23rd position. Oh, yeah, and it's his home track. I just love the Kyle Busch play this week. If you look at the racing stats, he's the number 2 overall play on this track this week. Sorry about the voice, guys. It's going in and out. Hopefully it'll stick with us for the show. But he's second only to Jimmy Johnson on this track. And since Jimmy Johnson will clearly carry the high ownership percentage, I think you can get off of it a little bit by starting, if you just started your team with Kyle Busch. But and I also wanted to add, after not getting to race here last year, I think he's going to be really fueled up to bring a win home in front of the home crowd. What are you guys' thoughts? Where?
I definitely like Kyle Busch. I always like Kyle Busch each week. Last week, he was just a no-brainer. I hope everybody out there that you listen to us, I was absolutely thrown away by the fact that he was only owned 56% last week.
Oh, yeah.
And I just scratched my head because I don't know how you could not own that guy last week. But this week, he does have that potential, obviously, with that, with getting you the place differential and, the guy that could take and win the race. I don't know. His qualification was 192, which is almost 3 or 4 miles off the pace. So I'm not quite as on Kyle Busch this week. I think he'll have a decent finish. He'll get in the top, probably top 10, but I just don't see him getting a win this week. But I definitely think he'll lead a few laps, but not a crazy amount. So I'm going to sprinkle in a few Kyle Bushes, but I'm not all about Kyle Busch this week.
Fair enough. Adrian, your opinion?
I'm definitely not going to argue against someone who picks the defending champion. Kyle he's incredible. He has a string of top 5 finishes, 6 straight top 5 finishes in NASCAR Sprint Cup races that goes back to last season. If he's starting in the 23rd position, other than Carl Edwards, you're not going to get a guy of that caliber starting so far back. He's the farthest back of the guys I think they can finish in the top 5. They struggled pretty bad yesterday, but Adam Stevens will get that car dialed in. They have 2 long practice sessions today, and everyone just make sure you're keeping up with those practice sessions.
Mm-hmm.
To make sure that obviously these are going to be good picks, but today's practice session is going to tell you a lot about how the race is going to be tomorrow, because they'll be making a lot of green flag runs in practice to really be able to tell what the tire fall off it's going to be like. And who's going to be fast on the 5 and 10 lap averages. But Kyle Busch I don't think he's a bad play. He's starting really far back. I think he can definitely finish in the top 5 this week.
Yeah, I just viewed him and Edwards as the top 2 place differential plays this week. And with the new downforce package, like, passing is no longer a thing. You can easily get around people, and that was usually a problem at Las Vegas. So I see them climbing really quickly and not being an issue. But I think that wraps.
I definitely, as far as that goes, if we're talking, Kyle Busch versus Carl Edwards, I'm actually all about Carl Edwards this week just because, he's starting right there, right behind him in the 24 spot. But, when it comes to that too, he costs a lot less than Kyle Busch. So you're going to be saving a lot of money. You're talking $10,200 for Kyle Busch versus,
9,600 for Carl Edwards.
Yeah. So $800 is not huge, but it's a difference, and that can get you a different driver that when you're talking about the 2 JGR boys. So,
Well, and Lear, you talking about value transitions us perfectly into the value segment where we're giving you the drivers that are underpriced, the drivers that you have to put in your lineup to get a comprehensive, well-rounded lineup to take down some GPPs. And with that said, Adrian, who's your driver of value this week?
I'm going with Jamie the Cessna Jet McMurray at 7,300. Jamie has 4 straight top 10. Jamie has 4 straight top 10. I just can't get that stat out. 4 straight top 15s at Vegas. He's starting 29th, which is the farthest back you'll find a chase driver this week. And I just believe because he's starting in the back of the pack, most people will be off him. But starting at 29th, we all know James McMurray is a guaranteed top 15 guy. So I just don't see how you don't roster him at 7,300.
No, I definitely like the call. I'll be sprinkling him in a few of my lineups. But he's got, 13 total starts here. He's got 5 top 10 finishes, and he's finishes a few spots on average before where he started from. So, at his price point, there's definitely, you can't go wrong with where he's starting at this week. So I definitely like some J-Mac too this week.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the 3 guys I'm using as salary relief this week. I couldn't agree with you more. Lear, who's your guy that you're using this week for value?
My value play this week is one Trevor Bayne.
The Bayne train, baby.
Hold on a second, guys. Now I'm ready. Go ahead.
Okay. So, as far as Trevor Bayne goes, 2016 has not been off to a great start for him. In the past 2 weeks with Daytona and Atlanta, combined DFS score, he scored 17 points, which is very bad. But historically, Bayne has performed pretty well here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. He's raced here 5 times with an average start of 29th and with an average finish of 20th. His cost this week makes him very, very enticing for people that need to pick a guy on a budget that's going to start somewhere in a lower position. He's only $5,900. He's come down $400 from last week in salary. Obviously, with his 2016 start, DraftKings had to take him down a few notches. But his starting position is 28th this week, which gives him tons of room to score place differential points.
Oh.
His average lap is hovering around this in the late 20s as far as the other drivers. So he's hovering right where the early 20 drivers and the late teen drivers are at as far as his qualifying position with his speed. So I have no doubt in my mind that he has an opportunity to move up and finish in the high teens. All I'm really looking for out of him is maybe 25, 30 points. Just hoping him and Stenhouse are sharing their information because Stenhouse has actually been, semi-fast this week so far. So hopefully those 2 garages are sharing their information together. And Bayne, as far as Roush Fenway, is going to gain some of the information so he can use that to his advantage to get some good place differential this week. But I'm all about the Bayne train this week, boys.
All right, Adrian, your thoughts?
I agree. I think it's the best pick we've made so far on this show. I kind of take offense to the fact that Kevin Harvick is, about double the price of my favorite driver. It's kind of not fair, but whatever. He's a really, just safe driver at this price. Trevor's not one that's going to go out and wreck the car. He's going to bring it home in one piece. He has positive place differential in his last 4 Vegas races. And in 2009, I didn't look this up, but I just remember it because, being a Bayne fan. But he had a photo finish for 9th place here versus Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 2012. So that's about all the stats I have on Trevor at Vegas. It's been a pretty short sample size since he's ran, such part-time schedules over the years. But starting in the 28th position, that caliber of team is I just think it's a very good play. And I won't even lie to you guys. I have Trevor and Greg Biffle on a few lineups.
Yeah, I do as well, and the Biffle one I've been torn on, but I saw exactly what you were seeing when I was putting the lineup together. But I completely agree. I love where Bayne's at, and I think the problem why he hasn't been the source of fantasy goodness that he has been in the past is, let's be honest, he overqualified last week. He ran that
He's
well. And it's just hard to hold that those spots down and stay up there. And if you're not going to lead laps, you're not going to gain points there. And he wasn't. And it was unfortunate.
His car was off from the start there.
Yep.
The leaders caught him pretty quick.
Yep. I just I love the play this week, and I think it transitions into my value play fairly well, which is Menard at 6,500. I know it's a little bit more expensive, but he qualified 15th. He's in one of the faster cars if you look at his practice split times. In his last 5 races here, his worst finish was 12th. That means he's always finished 12th or better, and his best starting position was 17th. So he's always got positive points for you. He has 3 top 10s and a top 5, and he's just way too cheap for the safe fantasy goodness that you're getting with Menard and the guaranteed points you're getting. I just think at the $6,500 price tag, he's a plug and play. Forget it. Just get your salary relief there and move on. My only concern here is I think that's where a lot of the savvy players are going to go for value. And but we've seen ownership percentages be way lower than what they should be. Maybe he'll carry an ownership percentage way lower than what it should be. What are your guys' thoughts, Adrian?
Yeah, Menard's he's a very solid pick. Like I was saying earlier, if you're gonna spend up for your 3 studs, Menard's kind of one of those guys you need to plug and play. He's just, I mean, as far as cash games go, it just doesn't get any safer than that. I mean, 6,500, you're not really worried about that for the price that all your last 3 drivers are going to have to be if you're going to stack the 3 studs. And like you're saying, 12th or better in the last 5 Vegas races. That's just, it makes me feel about you, Lear.
Save big money at Menards. Yes, I love Paul Menard this week. I know, even though he's starting from the 15th position, a little bit higher than I would like that to be, but based historically off of where he's finished here and his price point, you can't go wrong with plugging Paul Menard in this week. I think he's definitely a good, solid, 30 to 40 point guy. And I think even if, as far as his qualifying too, he's right up there, boys, with all the other, top 10 guys as far as his qualifying speed. Just a little tweak here, a little tweak there, and Richard Childress can get him right into that winner's circle, which has been a long time for him. So, but I definitely love Paul Menard this week. I'm just with you too, Papa, though. I think a lot of the guys that know what they're doing are going to be on the Menard train this week. So if you want to separate yourself, for your cash games, definitely have Paul Menard in there. But for your GPP, you may want to switch it up a little bit. But I definitely love me some Paul Menard this week.
I mean, in all honesty, the reason why I'm not worried about it is I think that from what we've seen in the past, like if you're putting Bane on a lineup or if you're reaching down a little bit more, you're going to get unique lineup or close to unique lineups anyways. That's why I'm not worried about rostering a guy that's that safe, like even on my tournament rosters this weekend. He's just too cheap for that, for what he should produce. All right, that pretty much wraps up value unless anybody else has anything to add. No? All right. Now it's everybody's favorite segment. Who's going to the garage? Now, for those of you that are new to the show, it doesn't necessarily mean that we think that they're actually going to go to the garage. It just means they may actually wreck and go to the garage. They may be overpriced. Maybe they don't fare well on this track, or maybe their team just doesn't have this track figured out. With that said, let's start with Adrian. Who's your pick to go to the garage this week?
My going to the garage pick is your pole sitter, Kurt Busch, at 9,200.
Wow,
I
bold,
just believe
sir.
that if you're gonna
bold.
I just believe that if you're going to spend that money, you're going to want a guy that's actually going to lead laps. And I don't think that Kurt Busch has a shot in the dark to lead any more than 50 laps today. Kevin Harvick or the Penske guys are going to be on him so fast once that race gets going this week. Kurt's car was very fast, for qualifying and stuff, but the way they had the ride height and the travel, it was built to just run by itself and be really fast alone. And Kurt even said that in one of his interviews. He said that once that car gets in traffic, he's really worried about what it's going to do. And I know his crew chief, Tony Gibson, is going to work on that today. That's why I said today's practice sessions are so important. But Kurt Busch has so much potential to fall back. There's no available place differential. In the last 14 races, Busch has 1 top 5. In the last 10 races at Vegas, he has 2 top 10s. And like I said, I just think that his teammate Kevin Harvick or, Logano starting right outside of him, I just don't know how long he can hold off Joey Logano because I think those guys are going to be quick. So too much of a risk for me.
Larry, your thoughts?
As far as that goes, I definitely hear you, brother. I do have concerns about Kurt Busch. But the crazy part is, with his qualification time of 196, which is, almost half a mile an hour faster than Logano. But like you said, it's different when you're qualifying versus when you're actually racing and with the other drivers. So your car is going to handle a lot differently. But he is historically here, Kurt Busch. This is his hometown. he just does not perform well, and I don't know why. If that's because he goes home or hooks up with his old girlfriends that he had back there, the ones that are crazy. But
He's got a lot of those.
Yeah, but as far as that goes, I don't know. I really like him this week as a swerve play, as a GPP.
Yeah.
Stick him in there, guy that I don't know. I could also see him too, staying up front all day, leading 80 to 100 laps. I could see that scenario happening. Him and his crew chief get the car right, and who knows? I could see a 1-to-1 this week for Kurt Busch. So I will be plugging him into some of my GPP lineups. As far as cash games, I will stay away from him. But I'm definitely going to take that risk because he's going to be, in my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of other people's opinion are going to want to stay away from him. But I think he's going to be a very low-owned driver. So I'm definitely going to put some lineups together where he is in there.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good swerve play to get off of. If you're trying to get away from the pack, I don't think most people will pick him. And it's the reason why is because what was it? About a third of that lap was below the white line that they can't drive on anyway. For his qualifying time, the car is completely set up different. I heard that same interview, dude. He was terrified of running that car with other cars on the track. He was just like, yeah, it was great for speed, but I'm scared. It's what it sounded like.
Talked about it. He was like, Gordon saw the car, and he was like, the way that car is set up, the tires have traveled so far into the back of the car. He's like, that car's going to run terrible around everyone else. And it's just a situation where Kurt's going to be fast, and he's going to be a good GPP play. But I set up most of my teams for cash. And I can possibly get when I'm setting up my laps. And I think Kurt can lead some laps, but he just doesn't give me that potential like I need from guys like Martin Truex Jr., who are at that same price, who I actually think can lead laps.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'd rather play Truex.
Yeah.
All right. With that said, Lear, who's your guy to go to the garage this week?
My guy going to the garage is AA Eric Almirola. Almirola is starting this weekend from the 7th position. He is complete over qualification for this Petty Racing team. He scored a total of he's raced here a total of 7 times. His average starting position is 24th with an average finish of 7th. He has led absolutely 0 laps at this track since he's raced here. 0 top 10s and 3 DNFs, so he did not finish those races. His cost is enticing. It's $6,800, but there's just a ton of other drivers that can get you points instead of Almirola this week. So, sorry, Eric Almirola, I am not on your train this week, buddy.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's overqualification. Adrian, your thoughts?
Eric Almirola. We're giving these people such good picks this week. I'm really happy with what we're supplying because I completely agree, Jamie. Eric Almirola is not who you want to go with. He has 1 top 20 finish in every 7 starts he's made at Vegas. He's made 7 career starts and only finished in the top 20. Absolutely stay away from this guy.
Yeah, absolutely stay away. And now it's my turn to tell you somebody to stay away from. And it's it seems like a fairly obvious pick, but I even caught myself trying to put this terribleness on lineups just to make it work with getting an extra stud. And it's Landon Castle, guys. You can't afford him. He's so cheap at $5,400. It's tempting. I mean, it's $100 over the minimum price. And he actually ran decent and qualified for him on this track, getting to 27th. But the problem with that is that's 12 spots better than he's ever finished at this track. Than his average finish at this track, which is actually second worst among all active drivers. The good news is for him, though, his average finishing position of 39th, he can't possibly finish that bad this week, as there's only 38 drivers. So he's going to get an improvement, but it's not going to help you out, and you're going to light points on fire and money on fire if you roster him. Because every time he goes out on this track in his history, he's a negative point producer for DFS. So I would easily avoid the Castle like value play there. Anybody else?
I love Landon Castle as a driver, and I think that he does more with his equipment than any other driver does out there. But Landon Castle starting in the 27th position. Most people might think that that's, a decent spot, but he's not Kyle Busch. So, you want him kind of starting in 37th instead of 27th. And I just think the days that we can go in and pull out a De Benedetto and a Cole Witt, I just think those days are over. The teams are so much faster now, and that if you're going to have any kind of shot at finishing in the top 25 with all of your team, you just can't have a guy like Landon Castle or any of those pump plays under 6K. I mean, I think that Trevor Bayne and Brian Vickers are about the only guys I would go to that are under 6K this week. What do you think, Jamie?
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, Adrian. Definitely love me some Landon Castle, Iowa pride. He's from Iowa.
That's
but
right.
But yeah, as far as Castle, he's had 4 total races here. And out of those 4, he has 3 DNFs. I mean, starting from the 27th position, like you guys have already reiterated, I just can't take a chance on risking my money on a guy like that for him to pull through and suddenly out of the whim, out of nowhere, come up and have a top 10 finish, which I just don't foresee that happening here. And I know he's a good price guy as far as that goes, but there's just I'd rather go down as far as the top tier guys and go down a little bit to save some money than reach really down far and grab somebody like Castle. But love you, Castle. Good luck tomorrow, buddy. But sorry, I just can't roster you this week on my DraftKings lineup.
Yeah, I love you too, Lando.
I'm a big fan as well, bro. But like the problem is I think you're going to cost me money this week. And the reason why I wanted to talk about it is I knew that even myself got caught up knowing that I shouldn't make that play. But I could squeeze in such a sexy lineup there. But I'm like, but what I gained, I really feel like I'm losing negative points wise by him, like being on the lineup, and it's just because of the qualification and points.
Yeah, I think you got to bring a hammer at every starting position. You might have some guys that you're going to have in there, like some, sprinkle in some Trevor Bayne and some, Casey Mears, but you want a hammer at every position and someone you think is going to be able to gain you points. You don't want someone that you're going to be, they'll be running like Landon Castle. If he's running 25th all day, that's a really good day for that team. But it's not going to be a good day for your fantasy team, and that's pretty much why Papa, I'm pretty sure, is saying stay away from him.
Yeah, it's just one of those, like, if he runs 25 all day, what is that, like 15 total points? Like, that's not enough.
Yeah, he's going to finish with like 14 if he finishes. Yeah. And I think if he finishes in the top 30, he's still going to get about 13 points.
Yeah, but like
I don't know if
that's not enough.
If you're gonna need a guy that's kind of down in that Landon Castle area, I would much rather play Brian Scott. Last year, he's only raced here one time, but he's also $5,400. But I mean, last year he started 23rd and got a top 15 finish, boys, at 13th. Now, granted, he was with Richard Childress, racing at the time. But as far as that goes, I would just much rather. And he's starting 32nd, so you get 5 additional spots for Brian Scott if that's a play that you have to make for your lineups.
Oh, can I also just add? This is just a little bit extra for everybody, but I know people are going to see that Clint Boyer's starting in the 35th position, but. Just as an inside tip for anyone that watches the show, make sure you don't pick Clint Boyer this week because that team is so slow. Since they went to this, since he went to the new team with H. Scott Motorsports, Clint was talking about how unresponsive the front end of that car is all weekend. He's saying that even during the test session, any of the changes they've made, they just could not get that car to hook. So Boyer's really displeased with that car, and they're really down on speed. So I know you're going to see Clint Boyer starting in the 35th position, and he's an elite driver. But just keep in mind that's not an elite race team.
Yeah, and definitely not an elite car.
Yeah, no, truth, dude. Because I was like, wait, what? And I'm like, I'm totally going to roster him. And then I looked at those lap times and his speed, and they're so off the mark. It's not even.
They are ridiculously slow.
He's already looking to 2017 to joining, Stuart Haas.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's already bought a new Ford Fusion. It's sitting in his driveway. He just can't wait for next year.
All right, guys. With that said, I think it's a good time to transition into the lineup where the three of us build the lineup while talking, showing you how to build the lineup. and it's actually a lineup that I will enter personally in the 5K log nut. Remember, don't copy this lineup word for word. Like driver for driver, it won't help you out at all. Like, probably want to differ just a little bit here or there. Let's go ahead and get into it.
It's just like school. It's just like school, though. You know, if you need the cliff notes, there you go.
That's true. We give it to you. We give all of it to you here.
All right, boys. What should we start this team off with? Who do we want to start?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, right. Like, and this is the question. Well, and this is the question that everybody's facing this week, because you really you can try to take a couple of the high end studs of Jimmy, Kyle, or Harvick, but you're not going to get all three of them. Like, you can, but you end up looking pretty sketch.
I've fit them in with I have some pretty nice value plays. I don't think I'll tell everyone all of them, but I might share a couple with you for watching the show.
Right on.
I would say, I don't know. I'm Miller Lite. I'm liking Brad Keselowski this week. He's been running fast here at Las Vegas. Penske's got that number 2 really going. I think he's got a good chance of taking it home this weekend.
Yeah,
I think Brad's gonna be quick as well. Let's go ahead and throw Trevor in there so we can see kind of what we're working with. Let's get some Bane train.
All right, we'll go Bane, and let's go ahead and throw Bane on here. I mean, guys, it's a source and play plugin of value, and I think while we're here, let's just go ahead and throw Menard on the team. Like, that way we have, and see what that does, guys, is that establishes you with 94 per remaining. Like, by just taking those two guys, and we already talked about why they're legit plays. Do you guys have a problem with putting those two on the lineup?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I mean, see, it already puts you in the range of Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin, and you can go up and down really easily here. So, where do we want to go, Lear?
Oh, I mean, it's wide open now. We can go any direction you want to go.
Right.
Harvick sick game.
All right, yeah, why not? Let's roll the Harvick sick game. Takes us down to 9 flat. We got 3 drivers remaining. Let's see. I guess it's kind of my turn then. You know what? I really like Lear's Truex pick. Let's throw him on the lineup.
All right, I like it.
Leaves 9 flat for 2 drivers, which means we can.
Oh man, I gotta. That's tough.
Right.
See, I really want to put Dale Earnhardt Jr. in this lineup.
Yeah.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. this week, but the way it kind of works out, it's like once you pick Junior, you only can pick a guy under 9K.
Right.
So it's really tough.
Dude, that's the exact problem I've had with every lineup build I've started, because I end up always wanting to put one of Earnhardt or Hamlin or Edwards on this team, like even Keselowski, right? And then I'm just like, the fall off, then I'm like, oops, like there went my 4 studs. But you just can't do it once you buy any one of Harvick, Johnson, Busch, Logano. Like, once you break into that 10, it just keeps you from being able to put 4 of them on your lineup.
Yeah. And I really love DraftKings, but I just don't know if they got the salary quite right this week. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I feel like I just feel like right around that area from 9,000 to 8,500, it's just every possible driver is right there, and it just doesn't allow you to do much of your lineup. It seems like the prices are a little off.
Yeah, everybody's
9K.
9K or above, and then it's just guess after that. Yeah,
pretty much.
No, I was seeing the same thing.
I would actually like to. I mean, I know he's a little bit more than what we have remaining, but I would like to see Carl Edwards on there. I really think he's going to show up this week at Las Vegas, and he's gonna produce some really good results as far as DFS and NASCAR. So I think he's going to be a spot on play to have this week.
Fair enough. Let's put him.
Carl Edwards has a top 5 in 4 of the last 5 Vegas races and 2 career wins here, so that's a good pick.
Yeah.
Let's throw Edwards on the list. We'll also put Earnhardt on. That means we have to punt down from Menard. So,
hold on. Let me add these guys, and I'll try to do some math with you.
We got 5,900 left. The lineup is.
I don't know, man. That's a little. I don't like any of those drivers under there. I think they
Right?
should probably
Like,
change
see, that's
something.
what, like, to put Edwards and Earnhardt on the team, though, that's where you're left.
Yeah,
Like,
that just goes to show people how hard it is to build a lineup this week.
Take Earnhardt off of there.
all right,
Yeah, we don't need Lily.
and we'll put back in
Let's
Menard.
go. Let's see. Yeah. Hey, we could go. We could go Newman and McMurray, and then have our stack of Harvick, Truex, and Edwards.
Boom.
Oh, and leave
think
Menard
it's
off.
good
Yeah, I
too.
actually like that. I actually really
Yeah.
like that. So, what he's saying, guys, we're going to throw Ryan Newman in here and round it out with Jamie Mack. And that's actually a really nicely well-rounded team.
I
like
agree.
it.
Yeah, there's not really any punts in there.
No.
Trevor Baines, your only punt, and he's the best driver in NASCAR.
He's one of the best, clearly.
One of the best. I should say.
Well, I'm going to say this week, guys, I really do believe that Bain is going to have a great DFS week. And I'm just hoping, besides the people that watch this video, there's not going to be many people that go on that play just based off of his 2016 start this year.
I don't think many people will really be on him, and I was really impressed with the way they ran at the low downforce races last year. At Kentucky, he ran, and it's the same package. I think Kentucky was the first race they used it last year. He ran inside the top 10 for a decent majority of the race, and then he finished 13th. So that's really impressive for him. And as far as like place difference, if you could get 15 place difference on a Trevor Bain on Sunday, I think you've hit the jackpot. And you just got to not mess up the rest of your team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, Adrian, is there a special magical drink that he's taking? Because God, when you look at him on TV, he looks like he's like 17.
It's called Advocare Spark.
All right, guys. I think that wraps up another show for the Rubbin' His Races Daily Fantasy NASCAR show. Hopefully you learned a lot. I think it's one of our more in-depth, statistical heavy shows. I really enjoyed it. Thanks, Adrian and Jamie, for joining us as always. Remember to like, share, favorite, subscribe. Did I miss anything there, Lear?
FantasyDonks.com.
Well, on FantasyDogs.com or on the YouTube channel for all of us here, the Rubbin' Races Fantasy Show.
Before we end, I also wanted to touch in. I don't know how soon it'll come, but anyone that plays NBA DFS, I'm going to start getting with Papa and Jamie. We should have a cash lineup for DraftKings for every night of NBA an hour before lock. So just come over to FantasyDonks.com and check out that information. We'd love to have you there.
Yep, and hopefully that will be up in the next few days. Hopefully. Well, with that said, guys, have a great weekend. Let's get some racing done and let's win some money. Hopefully it's me, but if it's not me, hopefully it's you, and we helped you get there. Later, everybody.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Let's go racing.
Yeah.